Well, it's good to be back here again with you guys. We're just sitting here having a grand old time, laughing.
Grand old time.
Yeah, I'm Brian, and this is my wife Shauna, and this is Heavy Revy TV. Welcome. And as people are coming on, please feel free to like and share. We're going to be talking about. I'm actually going to share this to our group right now. We're going to be talking about relationship. Circumstances and everything that you're going through. Hey, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Everything that you're going through that you think is bad, and what are some of the keys and postures in which you can begin to smoothly transition into embracing everything in your life as an unlocker of your full potential. And I think we see this with Jesus. Jesus did this. He received everything as from the hand of God for the purpose of redemption. He said, I only do what I see the Father doing. In other words, he was cooperating with everything coming into his life for the purpose of breakthrough, awakening, consciousness, wholeness, and how that would affect others through his life and through what he learned through the pressures and difficulties of life. And so I think for us, a lot of times is, especially if you're focused spiritually, it is easy to become hyper spiritual and avoid situations all in the name of spirituality. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to use some of our own experiences here and some of the experiences of other people we've connected with, obviously without naming them. This is going to be good. So I'm really excited about today's message. And I'm just going to read you the overview here that I put on the video. And this is what I said. I said, we've all been in situations we believe were bad. And from that conclusion, we experienced what we believed. If all things work together for good, what is the posture to enjoying the benefits of goodness? Right. The way we perceive ourselves makes all the difference. It affects how we respond relationally and circumstantially. Okay, so we're going to find out how to benefit in goodness from all the badness we think have been going on. Okay. Now again, this is the hard part. It's where we feel injustice usually, where we feel misunderstood, where we feel unheard. These are the places where we throw the goodness of God to the wind and we put up our boundaries, take a stand. And is there a time to take a stand? I think there is. Mm-hmm. So Shauna, do you want to share a little bit about your personal experience when it comes to being able to step into that place and embracing everything as good when everything around you looked bad?
God, where do you start?
Well, you can use our relationship as an example.
I think the biggest season in my life, or this posture, it doesn't just happen overnight, and you can't make yourself embrace everything as good either. So I think for me, the biggest impact in my life was when I was experiencing panic attacks and a lot of anxiety, and I think the biggest thing was I was concluding that it must be bad. And so if it's bad, then there's something wrong with me for experiencing it. I must have did something wrong, or maybe God did something wrong for me to experience
this. Yeah, because everybody else is getting blessed by you,
yes.
Right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like everyone else is fine, but I know other people struggle with panic attacks and anxiety, but I didn't understand it, and I'm looking for a reason. I was looking for someone to blame or something, or to have some kind of understanding. And in that process of trying to understand, I'm looking to get rid of it. Yeah. And so one of the postures for me of embracing everything and receiving everything in a sense that there is good in there, even though you can't see it yet, is part of that is letting go of what you concluded that is bad. Yes. Because you can't experience good or what you think is good if you've concluded on these things are bad. And so actually I was having anxiety, and I was tired of having anxiety. I was tired of having panic attacks. And I've cried out to God. I did all the different strategies that all these people were putting out there. I would do scriptures, worship. I did all these different things to deal with the panic, and nothing seemed to really work. And finally, I just heard the Father just say, like, what if this isn't bad?
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind to hear that, what if this isn't bad? Well, I'm like, who told you it was bad? And I'm like, whoa. Well, other people have said it's bad. It's called a panic attack. I'm being attacked.
Yes.
And it was just this really eye-opening experience of how I've concluded on myself and everything, God and everything else around me, as good or bad. And so to embrace everything is to let go of what we think good or bad should look like.
But we usually start out with this intellectually.
Oh, yeah.
Embracing it. We get a revelation in our mind, in the possibility, and we say, yes, okay, I'm there. I'm done now. Everything's going to be perfect from now on because I confessed it.
Right.
And because I got an information level revelation. See, when we get a revelation, it starts out as information first.
Right.
It hits the intellect, but our experiential belief system, right brain, that's based in our emotional belief, has been experiencing the opposite. So no matter how much we claim what we've received as information level revelation, it can't. We're going to have a battle inside of us to believe at an experiential level. And so that's the reason to actually use the present situation that's triggering you, to follow it to the source and origin of pain, and begin to transmute. Of course, we do that with the shift, and we might integrate that a little bit into today's message as well. But what happens is whenever we are spiritually focused, we have to ask ourselves, what is motivating me right now to be spiritually focused? Nothing wrong with being spiritually focused if it's life and peace, okay? Right. And life and peace is not based on other people's reactions or responses. It's not based on your circumstances working out. It's not based on failure or success, okay? So we have to be able to get past the outward evaluation of where we're at in our journey of our identity and scorecards, okay? So I notice a lot when I'm doing shift sessions on people. One of the things that's very common is I'll get a call, they'll do a shift, I won't hear from them for a while. And then all of a sudden, I'm worse than I was before, or this doesn't work. And the first thing I've got to say is, look, you can't use shift as an escape or a, fix-all, kind of mentality. We tend to think that if we have one experience or one encounter, that somehow all our issues are dealt with. But I want you to think about this.
And that's why we hold on to revelation like that, because we get it and we're like, whoa, it's powerful. It's life-changing in that moment.
Yes.
And now we want it to just fix everything and be right or good. And yeah, I know, it's funny.
Yeah. And so what happens is people, they have this false expectation. I think we do this in multiple areas. Yeah. I mean, geez, just look at life alone. How many people are going to go buy seeds and plant a tree? They're not. They're going to go to a nursery where a tree's already been partially grown, and they're going to transplant it. Why? Because people don't want to wait. It's a microwave society we live in, and that has crossed over into our emotional health, our spiritual health, our physical health. And so we're rushing through everything to try to find that arrival place. Like, I just want to get somewhere. No, you don't. That's not the purpose. The purpose is a journey. And so the reason why you don't get revelation that is experiential and is able to be applied to your life instantly the moment you get it is because you're journeying into specific situations that now have a place for application. Okay. So that when it is applied, it becomes your experience. And that is where revelation has reached its place of maturity.
Right.
It's in the place of fruitfulness. Fruitfulness is, can you see it applied in your life? How has it been standing up under the pressure?
Mm-hmm.
Does your truth need to be upgraded? Was the freedom you got just a prototype that's being developed and unfolded? Okay, when we take this posture, we are able to relax and rest and take one thing at a time that's coming, our way, and be able to process it from a place of action rather than from a place of shrinking back, throwing a fit, diving into some spiritual methodology to avoid it. Okay. And so it is really important that when we're dealing with goodness, we have to get past the prejudice of, well, wait a second here. When I did this, I didn't get away with it. How come this person's getting away with it? And that somehow I've got to be the one to correct everyone and this is what we do. I'm just putting up healthy boundaries, right? I'm just going to put up healthy boundaries because I'm perceiving my situation as bad. Now I have to protect myself. And that's really what, when we view things as bad that we're currently in. Now, it might feel bad, but that doesn't mean the end of the matter is bad in where you're going with it. So being able to stop short of that conclusion of saying, this is bad, I need to protect myself, I need to defend myself, I need to be understood, I need somebody to hear me. Instead of doing that, take a step back and say, wait a second here. All of those attributes of needing to protect, defend, explain, that's coming out of self-preservation. And wherever I'm trying to protect myself, I'm only protecting lies I believed about myself. See, truth never needs to be protected or defended. Truth is truth. It's demonstrated. But lies that we don't want to face are constantly being protected. And so this is where we get tied up. We get justified in our minds that what is going on isn't right. There's been injustice in our life. Somebody's trying to control us. Now, of course, when it comes to any physically abusive situation or, life-threatening, you move your space, you get out of there. Okay. But fighting and arguing over petty things is not necessarily purposeful abuse if you both got triggers. Because you both got triggers, you don't even know what's going on. Right. You can't get past the surface stuff to even see what is going on underneath the surface of what is that person's intentions? What are they going through? How have they perceived themselves? And how are they projecting on us? Would you like to add something to that, honey? You're just like, yeah, man, keep going.
Yeah, you're going good.
Go ahead, honey. Give me an example here of how did you, what's a key that you could give the people of how did you come out of that place, especially with being married to me? And I've said this publicly, I ain't the easiest guy to be married to. I just am who I am. I am where I am. It's not that I'm a terrible person.
No.
I'm just an adventurous guy and a spontaneous guy.
You're an extroverted, no filter person. And I think a lot of people have met people that just are extroverted and no filters. And, and it was funny because when we met, I was the complete opposite of shut down, introverted person. And I was just like, freaking out every time he just said whatever he thought. And I'm like, oh my God. But it's actually been good because we can balance each other out. And so I think it works out.
Yeah, it works great. But in the beginning, it freaked you out.
In the beginning, yeah, it freaked me out.
So what did it take for you to see that it was okay for me to be me?
Oh, that's a good question. I think holding on to and remembering who you really are.
Yeah.
If I just judge you, because that's really is judgment. When we see somebody acting in a way that we could say bad or good, or, this person's acting bad, not acting appropriate, whatever it is. It's like we miss out on who that person really is. Yeah. And again, if it triggers me, now we're just triggered going back and forth, trying to be heard, justified, and validated, when I really need to hold on into who you really are and remember that and love you from that place.
Now, how do you get to the place? How do you recognize somebody's true identity from their false? Maybe some clues that you could give to moments in people's life when they saw that but didn't know that's what they were seeing.
Well, when you're not triggered, that is a lot easier. When I wasn't triggered by you, I'd be like, oh my God, he must be hurting right now. Yeah. And I could totally love and receive and accept everything that you were saying. But when I was triggered, man, I've got my walls up. I got to protect myself. I got to defend myself. I'm not going to be a doormat. And, and I would just like buck up against everything you were saying and doing. And there was no fruit.
No.
Because you didn't feel heard or validated. I didn't feel heard or validated. And we're just going back and forth. And finally, I think it really comes down to how to communicate. I think you shared this on one of the videos or you've talked about this, how it's our job to express ourselves or communicate past the walls of other people's hearts.
Yes.
And that's not just like ministry wise, that's life.
Yeah.
How can we share our hearts to somebody else's heart when we know that they might be hurting or they might be feeling like they're failing or whatever? I think we get so caught up in like, sorry, you might hear snoring.
That was our dog.
It's not us at all. It's our dog.
Our dog just snored.
But I forgot where I was going. But yeah, so I think we get so caught up in labels and like even narcissism. I think, again, it's like that word narcissism is finding its balance, because people shouldn't be stuck in labels. I think we all have narcissistic behaviors. I think we all, and what is narcissism? Self-protection.
It really is just self-protection.
I'm so self-absorbed. I need to protect myself because something has happened in my life where I have realized I'm the only one that can serve and protect me.
Yes.
And I think we all have been there. So to label somebody and to keep them stuck in that little box, I think we're missing out on who they really are and the expression that they may be carrying. And so I think the key here is really, even when you're triggered, obviously that's where the shift comes in, to be able to process what it is you're feeling about you. Yes. Not this person, what they're doing or saying or any of that stuff, but dealing with what you are feeling. And then being able to how to communicate that over the walls of their hearts, and not trying to hurt them or do to them what they've done to us, but to truly express what it is we're feeling about ourselves.
Yes.
And I know that when I have expressed to him, even if he did something stupidly and he wasn't trying to hurt my feelings, but I felt like he was, the moment I dealt with my stuff and I communicate, well, hey, I think I'm really hurt by that. I feel like I'm not heard or validated, but I'm not blaming him, but I'm expressing how I'm feeling.
You're making it about you.
Yes.
And now there's no reason for me to to protect myself, because you're not accusing me.
Yes.
So you're disarming this thing so that you're not continuing. I mean, I ask people this all the time when they say, you know what, I took a stand. I said, you ain't going to treat me that way. And this is how it is. We minister to couples quite a bit. And I said, and how did that work out for you? Well, we got in a big old fight and they stormed out of the house and we need counseling. Well, okay, you do need counseling. But the point is if it ain't working, quit holding your ground. It ain't working. You need a different posture. And one of the things that, especially right now in this time and season, is because people are coming out of religious control, they're coming out of multiple levels of abuse. there's a big stand to have a voice. There's a big stand to, this is my truth, and if you don't like it, too bad. And I understand that, and there's a truth there. But if you have triggers, a lot of triggers, that truth can now become your self-protection, your self-justification that keeps you from coming into deeper levels of wholeness.
Right.
And so, people have asked me, well, when do we put up boundaries? And I said, look, sometimes trying to exercise healthy boundaries can actually be detrimental in your relationship with two people that are protecting themselves against each other. And so any counseling or any teachings you study that are on healthy side, on that foundation, you will then use against each other. Shift.
We've seen people.
Oh yeah,
we did it to each other too.
Oh yeah, shift can be used against each other.
And we gaslit each other all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just triggered. Go deal with yourself.
Yep.
Go deal with your stuff. But all we did was gaslight the other person. Yes. And really, we were triggered, so we didn't want to deal with them. So we're like, you go deal with yourself because you're the one with the issue.
That's right.
But really, we both got some issues here. Let's be real.
Whenever we get triggered, the first thing the trigger wants to do is put it on the other person. The reason why we don't recognize a trigger, and I tell you, it takes a while to be able to catch that trigger before you react and recognize it's your own stuff, not somebody else hurting you. And so the reason why a trigger, when it comes out, creates this smoke screen of self-justification and makes you believe it's the other person doing something to you as why you feel what you feel, is because as a child, when you believe the lie about yourself that installed that belief system that created the trigger that's happening in the present, you denied your own pain then, okay? Because we were taught to get over it, quit whining, quit crying, be quiet, or you're going to get in more trouble, okay? And so because we were silenced as children, being seen and not heard, or because our parents did not know how to express themselves, we took on that model. And so it's an automatic thing for us not to recognize when we initially are triggered that it's our stuff, okay? And so when this happens, you have to be able to follow some red flags beforehand, okay? And some of those red flags is the need to have the last word, the need to justify, the need to explain, the need to protect, okay? These are really the areas in which we have to be aware of so that we can actually begin the process of embracing our own pain, being brutally honest with ourselves. See, the moment I'm triggered, and my wife, maybe she's triggered too, but I respond and I say, you're just triggered, go deal with your triggers. But I'm doing it out of the attitude of shut the hell up. Well, guess what? I am not only protecting my trigger, I am being dishonest with myself. That is a form of self-manipulation. I will pay the price for that as I continue through those weeks and months, as I now justify and build another layer of lies upon that original lie, okay?
Going with that, I was talking to somebody today, and as we were talking, we realized, that there's so many times where we haven't been okay. It's never been okay to just be not okay with emotions, feelings. Like you said, we were always shut down. And we were never really allowed to even express ourselves. And so now you will find yourself constantly trying to figure out what you need to be for this other person or the group of people that you're with, and you're never actually facing or learning to be honest with yourself. And so I think that's starting to really shift and change, is that people are starting to learn to be more honest with themselves, and it's being more acceptable to not be okay. And especially with a lot of the mental health awareness that's coming out, and people sharing their story, and it's so beautiful to see that that is shifting, because that is what prevents us from embracing everything as good, because I feel like it's bad to express yourself. And so it's finding that ability to express yourself in honesty with yourself first, before we go trying to project that or do that with other people onto other people.
Yes.
And so it's finding that balance of, when you are communicating, that again, it's about you and what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, what you're journeying out, and not projecting, because otherwise we're just keeping that cycle going on of everyone's projecting and defending and blocking because they're trying to protect. But yeah.
No, that's good right there. I'm going to read you Philippians 4:8 in the New Living Translation. It says, "And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing, fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise." And I think that is really important. Now, if you have triggers and you try to fix your thoughts on true and honorable, you will end up using that to avoid your pain, and you will become the greatest gaslighter there is. Okay? Because now you will demand everybody to perform outwardly and to repress inwardly. Otherwise, they're not as holy as you. Okay? And so we have to understand how quickly things can go south when we bury our pain. And so it really is important that, you can even take inner healing religiously. You can make it to where it's all about everybody else. Well, I told my wife, we're getting healed, and she didn't do it. I told her she better do it or else, and it's like, okay, we do that. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Okay. We need to change that. Nobody wants to be told what to do. And sure, I can do things that trigger my wife, but if I'm planning to do things to trigger my wife to help her get healed of her triggers, that equals gaslighting. It really does. It is actually sadistic to excuse your attitude in triggering another. Okay, it really is. It doesn't mean you have to be self-condemned.
Right.
It just simply means you go, oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't my objective to trigger you. But since you are triggered, what can I do to help you get through it? How can I help you focus on that pain? We had a time, I'll share this experience real quick. I don't think I've ever shared this one live.
I'm like, which one? So
I was training a lady and Shauna to do a shift. And so we were sitting here in the living room. This is, I don't know. Did we?
I don't know.
It was about a year ago, right? Was it about a year ago this happened? 8 months, a year?
More? Yeah.
Year and a half? No, it can't be that long.
No, I don't know. Either way.
We'll say about a year ago. And so I said, why don't you practice on me? So, I had been dealing with some triggers that I couldn't get to personally. Couldn't find it. Couldn't get a memory. So obviously it was something repressed. And so I said, go ahead and practice on me. So they're practicing. They got me triggered. But then they didn't know what they were doing. So they only got me triggered and partially in there. And now I'm just upset.
Well, now my part was, while he was triggered, one of his memories triggered me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know it.
Yeah. And so she's kind of giving me some attitude as I'm trying to direct her. So I'm not stuck in pain.
I'm not the only one has ever done that.
And I had attitude and she had attitude. So I get up and I stomp out and I said, forget you guys. I'm going in the bedroom to work on my triggers. So I go in there and I'm angry. I cannot work on my triggers because I'm angry. You can't work on anything you're angry about. It doesn't work. You have to disarm the anger. And there is a way to disarm the anger. Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. Remind me about that.
Right.
So I'm in there just loathing myself and getting more angry at everything that's wrong with my wife, that she purposefully did this. She wanted to mock me. She doesn't love me after all. You see how all these things mount up? Okay. So then and I hear her out here laughing with her friend, having a grand old time, which made me more mad because now it's really true that she was after me. Okay. And now the real Shauna has come out I have been deceived for all these years. You know how we just keep adding to it.
Oh.
And so I come out and I said, what did I say? Something like, I'm mad at you. Look, why are you out here laughing after you left me in this
I'm
state?
in pain.
Yeah.
And you're out here laughing.
Yeah. And so I'm going to sit out here and try to make her as miserable as possible, right? Because I'm triggered, right? And so then she begins to share actually how God, why don't you share what happened after I went in the room?
So I got so triggered and I realized something he was going through reminded me of, I think, something of something our children has expressed, one of our kids. And it triggered me that, oh my God, they're going to have triggers. Like this realization hit me that my kids are going to have triggers and I've got to like save them and all of this false expectations. And now I guess I was blaming him that it's all his fault, my kids and all this kind of stuff, which was totally wrong. But while my friend and I were talking, she was walking me through my trigger, but he didn't hear that part. Yeah. And I actually got a little bit of breakthrough. And she was like, and my friend was saying, wow, I'm not triggered by anybody being triggered. This is wonderful, which made me laugh.
Yeah. It was actually one of the first times for her to
not
be triggered.
For her not to be triggered by us being triggered. She was okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I laughed. So he happens to come out at that point as I'm processing my trigger. But it was interesting because as I'm going to get emotional, but as Brian was sharing just how hurt he was, all I could see was the little boy Brian being hurt. And my heart just broke. And I was literally, my heart was broken for this little boy Brian. Yeah. And I wanted to just love and protect Brian, but I realized there were parts of me that I wanted to just not love and not protect, because there was something wrong for judging him or something like that. Like there was condemnation I was feeling for hurting him. And so anyways, I share that with him as he comes out. And so he ends up walking me through, or did you want to finish telling the rest?
No, go ahead.
So it was beautiful because he ended up walking me through my trigger. So he had to lay aside.
Now, at first I told her, what did I say? I said, you know what? Because she started breaking. I could see the trigger and I can help her with this. So no, you need to suffer a little while.
No, you said, I'm not helping you with your trigger.
I'm not helping you.
I'll just let you sit in it like you did to me.
Yeah, so
Said,
revenge.
I said, okay, that's fine.
And of course I couldn't do that.
No, he couldn't. So he walks me through my trigger, and it was one of the most powerful sessions I've ever had, to where it was a little boy Brian and little girl Shauna. And it was like this revelation came where I needed to embrace him, and he embraced me by letting go of his trigger and loving me in mine. Yes. And it did something in this encounter where all of a sudden we hugged, the little boy, the little girl hugged, and light exploded. Yes. And I was like, I had no words to express what I was feeling, but the trigger was no longer there. Yeah. It was full of light. And I really feel like the whole gist of my session was to see that that's what life is about. Yeah. Yes. We're just loving each other right where we are. Yeah. And that's where the light is. That's where love is. And it was so beautiful. And it actually bonded us even closer. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, where when you walk through something with somebody, even offense or miscommunication or not understanding, but when you communicate and you love anyways, like there's a bonding and a connecting that happens like nothing can explain. It's the proof of love. Yes. And you really start to see that the things that you begin to fight over are just petty and stupid. And then you could just laugh about it. And it's actually okay. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the most powerful sessions that we had. And it was good. It was really good. It was really good. And then she was able to help me get to my triggers after that. And so everything worked out good. So the whole thing was good.
including me stomping off into the bedroom and freaking out and
Yep.
coming out here and accusing her. All of that,
all of it was good,
needed to happen for my mind to shift, for her mind to shift. So a lot of times when we think about seasons in our life where we're having this glorious time, prophecy fulfilled, we're in the land of milk and honey, everything is good, and we had already just come out of all this devastation to get there, and then it's this short-lived experience and we're right back in the wilderness and we're going, what the hell? What did I do wrong, right? What did I lose? But you got to understand, you're going through multiple, dark nights of the soul
right?
as you upgrade. So
Right.
it's not about, I need to get out of this valley and get into the mountaintop.
Right.
It's your valley that is enabling you to realize the mountaintop. Because all the valley is your conclusions. The mountaintop is actually your reality.
Mhm.
It's who you actually are, and who you're not is what is being extracted in the valley. And so as we realize that it's not about I've got to attain and not lose something, it's more about I need to keep shedding these perceptions, conclusions, and memories about myself that are keeping me from who I truly am. And so I'm going through seasons for that.
Right.
So really everything is good. I've shared this before multiple times, the story of Joseph, in the book of Genesis. I mean, the poor guy, he's got the favor of his daddy on him. He's got the multicolored garment. He's got a vision that, he's the man. He's the one that's going to, everybody's going to be bowing down to him. And then he's thrown into a pit, sold to Potiphar, thrown into prison. Looks like everything is going wrong for this guy. But that's what prepared him to be what he was called to be and save a nation from starvation. And so we kind of need to understand that no matter what we've gone through, whether it's a betrayal, whether there's been injustice in your life, I want you to know that all of that is leading to something. And it's leading to you being able to protect others, being able to encourage others, being able to stand. You're going to see all these things flip over outside of your ability to measure up, because if you could attain it in your own ability to measure up, well, there'd be no reason to journey this life out by the Spirit. You could just do it by your own ego, but we were never meant to,
Right.
And so let me give you a couple of keys here when it comes to anger, because anger is one of the things and anger, frustration, denial, numbness, it's all anger. Okay, it's all the same thing. Okay, and anger is what guards the heart of the matter in what you believe about yourself. Okay.
Right.
So if I believe I am abandoned, I'm no good, I can never measure up, I need to get to that place and I need to have the Father change that perspective of me. But usually on top of that, guarding it is our way of surviving through it all those years, which is usually
Right.
anger, which that anger that started out angry and frustrated can then manifest as denial because we become a master at our anger. It can also manifest as feeling numb, indifferent. Well, I don't feel anything. I'm good. I don't care. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they say. And you can see people that look like they're not moved at all by what other people do.
Right.
And you think, wow, man, that person's really mature. They're not freaking out. But they also can't access their emotion, which means they're probably more broken than the average person. Even though they look more mature and patient and spiritual on the outside, their anger has come to the point of complete indifference, which is a total numbing of your past pain so that you don't have to face yourself. The problem with that is all emotion becomes numb. Now you also can't access compassion, love, these kinds of things, and so it's really important to know that if you mask your emotions, you don't get to pick and choose to only mask the ones that hurt. You mask all of them.
Right.
All of them get twisted. All of them get silenced. And so we want to come to that place in which we are not masking. So how do we disarm anger? Well, if anger is a guardian or defender lie that defends the base lies of what you believed about yourself, then you have to ask yourself the question that if you can't use this anger, since it's been used to escape your pain, if you didn't have that there and you had to be stuck in that pain, what does your mind believe would happen? Ask yourself that question. Most of the time, you're going to hear, my mind believes it's going to happen again. I'm going to be hurt again. I'm not safe. There's going to be injustice. Now, let's say the anger is wrapped around what you've been told you are, and you've been fighting against that you're not those things, but emotionally you believe you're those things. Then that anger, if you let go of it, is going to tell you that you are the things they said you are. And if that happens, you're going to go insane. You're going to die. You're never going to escape. It's going to be a hopeless situation. So you'll see there are lies on top of lies that are guarding the lies. Okay. And so disarming that in your own mind is the only way to change the way you view. Okay. So if I say, no, Father, if I let go of my right to be angry, am I going to be hurt again? I'm going to wait. Okay. Now, if I hear, yes, you're going to be hurt again, then that anger is so justified that it's not going to work at the surface level in the present situation where I feel that anger.
Right.
I'm going to say, no, Father, can you take me back to the place where I first started using this anger to protect myself? You're going to have a memory pop up. How do you posture? Feel the anger. Don't resist it. Don't try to calm down. Feel it. Embrace it. Allow yourself to feel it. Because when emotion surfaces, it's almost like a portal opens for you to step into your history experientially. Okay. So to step into it means you can change your history. To intellectually think about the time you were angry and not feel it and push it down and try to go back into your memory and heal it, you're going to have an intellectual information revelation that has no application or empowerment or fruitfulness. Okay. So this is something that's really important to deal with anger. And you can say it concerning indifference, this, and then sometimes when a person is feeling angry and they've got to the memory back here and they've said, okay, I let go of my right to be angry, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they got a partial truth and they feel like the anger went away. And then they start going into the memory and all of a sudden they don't feel anything. I don't know. I was feeling that sense of feeling invalidated, that I wasn't enough, but now I don't feel nothing. You ask the question, what does it feel like to waste your time trying to heal yourself just to have no results? What does that feel like? Oh, it makes me angry. Guess what just came back? Oh, we still have some residue of some anger there. Yeah. All right. Okay. And so again, it's all in the way you ask the questions toward yourself. Yes. The problem with relational interaction and striving is we're always butting into what the other person is thinking rather than what we are thinking. We're too nosy trying to sort through. Oh, well, this is what you're thinking. You're saying this. So we're assuming by telling the other person what they're feeling, what they're thinking, instead of going inward and going, what is it am I believing about myself when I hear my wife say this? How does that make me feel towards myself?
That's what I wanted to add too. That's the tricky part too, is like, when we have discernment and, I was discerning something with that, with my spouse or my friend. And I felt that they just didn't have the right motives. Their intentions were wrong or whatever. Yeah. If you are triggered and you think you have discernment, this is the tricky part. Yes. You may be 1000% correct. Yeah. But if you are triggered, you have to deal with that. Embrace that first.
You have to.
Because I guarantee you 100%, if you deal with what you believe about you, your response to that person will be completely different.
Yes.
So if my husband says something and I sense he was trying to hurt me or he was off and he was just totally wrong and I was just discerning all of this stuff, but it triggered me and I go try to respond back to him in that place, all that it's going to do is cause strife.
That's all it's going to do.
Yep. And you'll just go back and forth, back and forth.
And so you get to be right with strife.
Right.
Instead of letting go of the need to be right or wrong.
Right.
See, being able to embrace everything as good is to take every situation and use it for your own potential to break forth.
Right.
To renew your mind, to take care of the mindset that's perceiving it one way by simply embracing it. making it about you. Not that you failed, not that you're a screw up, not that you're no good, but that, oh, now's the season and time for another part of my mind to be renewed. And I guarantee if you look back a few months, even a year, you're going to go back to a time where you were trying, you really wanted change in a certain area of your life, and you were having this introspective time. You couldn't get to it. You're maybe crying out to God, God, I just want to be closer. I just want my relationship to work. And then all of a sudden, you're in this season where you're being triggered constantly, and there's all this resistance. What is happening? The answer to your prayer. That's what's happening. The opportunity. Okay. So if you'll take every pressurized opportunity, or pressurized situation as an opportunity rather than an opposition, and realize the moment I protect myself, I just got caught.
Right.
Okay. There's your cue. All right, this is about me. This ain't about anybody else. And it doesn't matter what they're doing. You cannot hold your spouse, your partner accountable if you are triggered. It will backfire. But if you make it about you, and here's the thing with couples, and this is what I tell, if you've tried healing the past and taking on new ways in which to communicate, with communicating openly and healthy boundaries, but the healthy boundary side is backfiring in your communication, and then use that long enough to trigger you on purpose. And then, you're not purposefully going out and trying to trigger, but when you find yourself being triggered, you got to realize, oh, okay, the communication ain't working. We need to deal with some more triggers here. The more triggers you get out, the less instruction you'll need on how to communicate. Communication becomes easy in the absence of triggers. What's so funny? What are you getting?
I was just reading Daryl's comment.
Oh,
that was me crying out for more.
That was me crying out for more.
And I just got hit with holy laughter.
Oh, that's hilarious. So when you get revelation comes in as information that now brings confrontation, so that revelation that's now being confronted is slapped out of your own presumption and begins to seep into the right side of the brain in the midst of confrontation. Confrontation brings the contrast. The contrast behind you allows a forefront in front of you. It's going to begin to dial in the expression that you're carrying. I'm just going to keep letting her laugh. And so that expression that you're carrying now allows you to manifest. And when you manifest, you begin to see the intentions and the purpose of why you were in that situation, which now brings transformation. And transformation is application of that information that is passed through your experience. Okay. And so this is why we need all of that, right?
You're so good. I keep going.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Daryl, we are not laughing at you. Yeah. We're laughing with you.
We are laughing with you. But you know what? Here's the thing. The things that we take seriously that we've been told are not funny because everybody else was miserable in their modeling of it, why don't we decide to say it's hilarious?
It is hilarious. Oh my God. Yes. Can I just share today?
Yes.
I was feeling a little irritated and
oh yeah.
I was just irritated. I didn't know why I was irritated. I was just like all this stuff going on. And then I'm like, this mess. And like, it's been there, but all of a sudden I just became really focused or aware of this mess that was right there.
Now we're in what? 200 square feet with 4 people and 2 dogs. Okay. Okay. So go
all
ahead.
Of a sudden I just became very aware that I'm in this tiny space. I've got to put away clothes. I've got all this stuff.
Yeah. And
I'm like freaking out and I'm saying it's this RV. That's the problem. I'm like complaining, right?
Well, it is a problem.
But no, it was, we ended up, I'm complaining and I think I'm being serious. And he just kind of chuckles. And then I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm you. And then I just start laughing and he's laughing and something that, is supposed to be serious. And then I'm like complaining about something else or whatever. And we just start laughing and we're like, really? Like, what are we going to do
Yes.
about it? You know, like, it is what it is, and we don't have to take life so seriously. And it
That's
actually
right.
helped to kind of just laugh. And so,
Well, what we did was back in the day, if she would have said that's you, it would have turned into a fight because I would have needed to protect myself, right? Right. And I would have been lecturing her and trying to fix her the moment she was in a bad mood because I have to somehow save her. Otherwise, our lives will collapse if I don't take control of the situation. And what I realize is that's called trauma bonding, right? All right. Now, there's another side of trauma bonding that's using your trauma to bond. Okay. Trauma bonding in the negative is where I don't realize I have trauma and I think the other person does. And I'm either codependent or narcissistic in my response. Okay.
Yeah.
But using trauma to bond is recognizing your trauma in the midst of somebody else doing or saying something that might be inappropriate, but making it about you and using your interaction with dealing with your triggers and being honest with yourself that causes you to bond at a deeper level. Guess what happens every time you walk through some stuff where in the beginning you feel totally unstable in your relationship? All of a sudden you're suspicious of the other person. You can't trust them because all that stuff's surfacing. It isn't what they're doing right now that's causing you to feel and believe that. It's what you've already believed. That probably has nothing to do with them, that has been added to the relationship because it was undealt with. Okay. But as you begin to realize that, oh wow, this is really my stuff, you can now, and here's the cool thing, when you walk through that and you come through and you deal with it, you have an experience together of going through some deep things and seeing the proof of genuine love and support in the midst of it. Okay. I know for Shauna and I, we've walked through some stuff where I didn't trust her. She didn't trust me because we had been duped too many times. We took it out on each other, but then when we stop taking it out on each other and begin to posture and heal, all of those places that once looked bad where I couldn't trust her now are reinforced with trust. That's what's become the steady foundation. So all the things that we thought were the worst parts of our relationship is actually now what has enabled us to trust each other, because now we've seen each other as we really are. Okay. And so realize this, people, if you're married, you're in a relationship, and the other person has said or done things that you feel has convinced you that they are not trustworthy. Now, I'm not talking about infidelity here. Infidelity, you can't really just wipe that one away and say, oh, I trust them. Okay. We're just talking about everyday misunderstandings, little things that become big things, and so, when we come into that place of learning to trust, I totally lost my train of thought. Remind me, where was I at? I was somewhere with that, but I got whacked. So basically, you'll know each other deeper that way. People that go through stuff together have a deeper bond, because what they're going to remember is the support that was given to one another in the midst of what was once a trauma bond is now bonding in a healthy way as you're getting triggered in your trauma.
Yes. And what's cool about it, and that's why it takes time and you're just not going to get it overnight, is that you need to actually journey this out with others.
Yes.
It takes time.
Can't do it by yourself.
Just allow yourself, give yourself grace, give the other person grace, because there is grace for this.
That's
and
right.
So it's actually really beautiful. And I don't know what else I was going to say, because all I want to do is laugh.
But you learn to laugh. I remember one time I was going through a situation, I was throwing a fit. And I want to tell you, you can heal your memories and still have a habit you need to break. So be aware that you can get rid of triggers, but still react, because intellectually you've built a habit of reaction. And I remember I had a habit reaction once, and I was sitting here more than once, but
like just one.
But I'm sitting here and I'm getting ready to freak out, and I think it was something breaking on the RV. and I'm going to freak out, and I'm starting to pace, and I'm starting to pump myself up. And all of a sudden, I just heard this inner voice say, you know, you're not required to freak out if you don't want to. I'm like, huh, I'm not required to freak out. Okay, I guess I won't freak out. And I didn't. It all stopped. It all went away. And it changed something for me because I realized that, you know, in the past where I would freak out, I felt powerless and had no choice but to react that way, to be heard, to be seen, to be understood, whatever, to get out of a situation. And so my mind believed I had to react that way. It was the only way to get out because it had been there before. So just realize you don't have to react that way. How do you feel not to have the right to freak out? Now that's a good one right there. Jen just brought up a good one. When you are seeing this and you're like, okay, from now on, I'm going to do that and I'm not going to freak out. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to freak out and you're going to ask yourself, how do you feel when you don't have the right to freak out? And that's going to begin to unlock any lies that are underneath that is dealing with part of the habit as well as the actual trigger itself.
Well, immediately I think when you don't feel like you have the right to freak out is you're not going to be seen or heard.
Yep, you're not heard. What you have to give is not important. You have no purpose in life, depending on how large that lie is. You know, when you're not seen and you're not heard, that takes away a lot from what is my purpose. It really breeds a lot of confusion as to the lack of purpose in life because we are wired for interaction. We are wired for reconciliation, for affirmation, for conversation, for expression. And we are not wired to be hermits and somehow get all of our crap dealt with in a closet by ourselves. It ain't going to happen. It's going to happen in the interaction with one another. And so let the interactions happen. Be prepared for it in the sense of stuff is going to come my way. Okay. It's okay. I'm going to have all kinds of situations, surprises in my life that I don't have any control over. You know, we have not been protected from the unknown. We haven't been protected from it. Life happens all the time. Shauna and I go through it all the time. And so you learn to relax in it. You learn to rest in it. You can't learn to rest in it if you've got triggers that believe you're not enough and that somehow you need to measure up. You can have two different kinds of triggers like that. You can have a trigger, I'm not enough and I'm hopeless, therefore I just sit and who cares, whatever. You know, like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, you know, nobody loves me. But you can also have, I'm not enough with the challenge to be better and to prove that you're good, that now drives you into this performance. So just realize we can have extremes on both ends of this. And as you kind of are aware of your reactions, the way in which you view your life, you are going to take these keys and implement them. And this is where it looks good. Okay. You're embracing everything as good is everything you did bad. Did you learn a lesson from it? What did you learn that you could do different? How are the people in your life that are still there that maybe put up with you when you didn't have it all together? What are they to you now when you acted out and they're still there as your friend? They're the proof that you're worth loving. They're the proof that you're worthy of love. You see this? And had you not freaked out, you would never actually be able to prove that their intentions are there because you are worthy of love. As far as you're concerned, if you hadn't freaked out and you'd done it all right and they stuck around, they're really only, if you have that lie that you're not enough, they're only there because they feel sorry for you. You will never fully be convinced of that love until you cannot measure up in their eyes, and yet you still do. Okay? And that is what changes the mind. You see how we need to walk through these things. So all of the pressurized situations is really good because that's the only thing that convinces your mind of stability and truth when the storm is ended and everything still remains. Okay. So this is something that will really help you. I hope this word has blessed you today. And we appreciate you guys.
Yes.
We are going to be, if you haven't done it yet, I did a post on my Facebook. If you're interested in getting the training, you can get the training of the shift training for a donation of $175. You can go to our website at fogum.org. Sorry that I haven't got a shopping cart set up perfectly, but you just go to the PayPal, you donate $175. There is a place for a note. When you pay, put shift training, and I will get it. I will email you the link, and you can download 12 hours of video training on the mind, how to shift your mind, how to do a lot of the things we've talked about, as well as an 86-page workbook that you can download as well. Besides that, we have opened up a group, a shift coaching group for those that are wanting to coach. So make sure you respond on.
Also, I wanted to say coach, but also maybe you want to know how to really apply this for yourself too.
Yes. So you don't have to always want to coach.
You don't have to want to just coach with it, because I really feel like just talking, practicing, experiencing it more with other people, discussing it, and asking questions and stuff like that. Like, this is what the group is for.
We need to integrate.
Yes.
It takes time to integrate this stuff.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, to be able to embrace everything as good isn't done overnight.
No.
It is a constant day by day thing that we are practicing. And it's a great revelation that will be made manifest in your life.
That's right.
If you desire it, it's yours. And so it just takes time. And it's okay if it takes time, because we're not trying to get anywhere.
Well, it has to take time, because it takes time for you to get into a situation where there's a need for application of the true in the midst of a reaction, which is what renews your mind. Okay.
Yep.
And so we're going to be doing the shift coaching, which we're going to be coaching you, and we're going to be training coaches. Okay. And we're going to be helping people to integrate this, practice on one another, learn how to do this. For those that are going to become certified as coaches, you'll find out some of the requirements when you get in. It's a free group. It doesn't cost anything. We do ask for people to help support us so that we can bring this to you, continuously. And so please feel free to donate and support as you feel led. We're going to be doing some shifts in there. We're going to make shift sessions available outside of the group, one-on-one. We're going to have people practicing. We're going to have homework. We're going to be discussing. It's going to be wonderful. Okay. Sarah Reyes, you're interested in coaching. All right. And I don't know if you got the course or not. Just go to my website and get the course. You just go to the PayPal, do $175. I will send you the course, and I will add you to the class. Our first Zoom is going to be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't make it, it is okay. But I prefer if you can. That way you can ask questions and stuff. But we will make sure that it is recorded. And I will put it will not be public on YouTube, but I will upload it to YouTube and send a private link to the group, so that all of anything anybody has shared that's confidential will only be for those in the group. And I think we're up to about, we're just very small. We're not looking to have, thousands and thousands of people. We're looking for a small group right now. I think we're at 16, 17. And so this is what we're doing, and it's going to be wonderful. And people have been asking, well, how long does this go? The group will be open indefinitely for constant upgrades, but I'm thinking to get everybody flowing and doing this, flowing on their own in this, about 3 months. So just plan on 3 months, once to twice a week, coming in there and doing some things and just taking it step by step. And everybody's going to be at a different level. Okay. Only those that go through the video training, the coach training, and and start doing it on others up to 30 hours worth of shift sessions on others, they get certified, and only those that are certified will be able to receive the next course that I'll be doing on advanced shift training, which is for a lot of different disorders, mental disorders of bipolar and eating disorders and phobias and dissociation identity disorder,
Right.
SRA, CRA. CRA is Christian ritual abuse, splits, that kind of thing, which we're going to show a different way to deal with them using a very similar process. So that I hope to have out before the end of the year. And so that is the plan. And we are so excited about it. So if you haven't joined yet, please just go onto my website. And if you already have the course and you want to get in, and for some reason I haven't added you, please reach out to me and say, hey, I've got the course. Can you add me to the group? And I will send you an invite and we'll go from there. So anyway, we're really excited. So for those of you that are in the group, we will see you tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the rest of you, we will see you Saturday. Is it Saturday morning?
Yes, at 11 a.m.
We changed our time. Saturday at 11 Eastern, 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yep.
So love you guys. Appreciate you. And we'll see you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.